Hello and welcome to Heather and Hops. My name is Kat or Catherine, and this is my little space where I usually document my knitting journey from my very first project through to now. And we're really here to cultivate a sense of community and to share knowledge and, you know, hopefully bring people together. But this week is slightly different. I have been not nervous, but I've been excited to do this video, but it's definitely taken a bit longer due to personal issues and also really wanting to make sure that I explore this yarn before I share it and formulate an opinion, which is always, I find, a bit strange when someone has sent you yarn with that intention. This hasn't happened to me very many times before well, in fact, this is the first time I've been sent yarn with the sole purpose of reviewing. I don't feel like this is a review as such, as more a here's some yarns that I've been sent, here's what I've done with them, here's what I would do in the future. I have a few items now that I can sort of comment on the wear, and I feel like that's my main, that was my main want to hold and do this project a bit slower than I had initially anticipated. Because I think it's important, you know, as makers we want to, many of us want to, you know, knit and make with care, crochet, these are perfect for crochet too, and also have a sense of longevity with them and be, you know, curated. And so Hobbi was very kind enough to contact me back in December or January, and I received some lovely yarn, quite a bit, and the projects that I had intended to knit have kind of shifted unintentionally, and I've got a few smaller projects that I want to share alongside a big one that I'm not going to share just yet because I really want this to be just a big finished project. Yeah, so I thought I'd share the yarns. So this, I'm not sure if they are going to do a new, like a rebrand and a newer version, but this is the Kid Silk, and if you've been here for a while, we know that I love brushed mohair. I love mohair fibres as it is. It's one of my favourite types of fibre. And they have a Kid Silk, so it's a brushed mohair with silk, and it's 70% kid mohair and 30% silk. Mohair is one of my favourites for multiple reasons. They are one of the cutest animals on this planet, goats. But it's to do, for me, I find it really lovely to wear. If you've been here for a while, you'll know I've had issues with my health, and part of the issue is that I consistently have high fevers and my temperature does very quick changes. For me, I find that mohair is, because it's lightweight, I can throw on lots of layers and remove them quite easily, so it's an incredibly practical lightweight solution to my adjusting body temperature. And it's also, because it's so fine, it doesn't attach to bacteria quite the same way as a lot of materials do. So you'll find that they smell quite good even when they potentially shouldn't. So it's very good for that sort of thing. And then the addition to silk in a mohair yarn makes it a bit more lustrous. It gives it quite a bit more strength if it's a brushed mohair. I'm doing this because I am actually wearing mohair. But I was also really taken with this colour, and I'll talk a bit more about this. So it is 25 grams per ball, and there is 195 metres per ball. And that, you can get a lot out of that as a yardage. It's very good. It's a bit shorter than some, and I guess that might be because there's a little bit more silk content than in the other brands that I have used in the past. I think it's a really beautiful base. I've been really impressed with it so far when I've used it. It hasn't, I haven't noticed how much more or less it molts, because mohair is one to release its fibres, but it doesn't seem to be any different. Just for clarity, I think I get my doodly-doo with information. Yeah, I'm not sure if this like I said, they might bring this back as something different or a tool. It was available in I think 12 different colours, and yeah, for this fibre I want to share the base and then talk a little bit about patterns and things that it can be used for. I will just put some pictures when's necessary, and show you things if I've got them. I've got a little pile of stuff here that I've knitted that could be knitted using this yarn, because I think it's fun to talk about and think about different items, and these are things that I knit personally or would find practical in my wardrobe, and you know, it's sort of like a inspiration journey. Obviously this is the Cloudbow dress. It's from the most recent episode of Pom Pom magazine issue, and I actually knitted another one here, so it would be very cool to do in both single colour and holding 2 strands of yarn double and just using up different colours. I feel like you could hold 1 single strand of the same colour mohair and then add different bits to fade it throughout. That would be a really fun project to do. But this is currently a mohair project that I'm in love with. I am wearing this one loads. It's summery but also wintry. It will be very good for layering. And I am wearing a knitted dress and a knitted bralette underneath. I am head to toe in knitwear today. I'm not wearing socks. But if I was, they'd be hand knits. Yeah, so gorgeous yarn. I'm impressed. I think the price point on this is a bit dearer than the cheapest, and then in line with many of the more, what would you call them, larger to middle brands. So this one is actually made in Italy, so I don't know whether the fibre was from Italy as well. I don't have that information, but I do quite like that Hobbi as a brand do put a lot more information than many on their description pages, often telling you where it's from, not necessarily the direct farms, which is something that really makes my heart sing personally, because then I know where things are from, but they at least give you some sort of point of origin for a lot of their yarns, and that means quite a lot to me. So yeah, I'll put in a bit of footage of it up close, knitted and blocked for you to see. It is a lovely, lovely base, and I can't share the rest of the yarn for the sake of clarity. Hobbi asked me not to mention any other brands, so I will talk about what I can in terms of what I've used where and what I would use instead. But here is an item with a gorgeous lime green mohair that I recently finished. It is a stripy number, and I would like to use this next yarn I'm going to talk about, and I think I might actually write this up because I just think it's really fun. So it's a simple drop shoulder jumper with a split hem and some drop stitches, and I used 2 mohair yarns held together for the green sections, and I used a fingering weight yarn and a mohair held together for the black sections, and I would absolutely use the other wool I'm going to talk about, but also just mohair held double for the whole thing. It's super lightweight and adds so much warmth, and it knits up relatively quickly because of the large gauge. Yeah, I'm smitten with this. It's just lovely, and the mohair that I actually held this with had nylon in it, the green, and it did not feel nice not to knit with. It didn't feel nice against my skin, and the silk and the Hobbi mohair has absolutely softened this up, and it feels lovely next to skin soft, so I'm very happy with this item. Yes, but I do have a few other items here that are mohairy. So this jumper is something that I I've knitted 8 times. So this is the Varpu. I will put in links to all of these things in the description. I think you could, well, I would hold mohair double for this, or a mohair, lace weight and a fingering weight yarn together, and I do have the fingering weight yarn that I'm going to share in just a second, which would be perfect for this too. But another drop shoulder oversized jumper, and given the selection of colours that Hobbi offer, this would be great. They also offer other types of mohair if you aren't interested in silk. I know they do bases with acrylic. Acrylic's something that I just don't use for various reasons, but they do also have brushed alpaca, which would be perfect for this too, and they offer that in quite a lot of colours. So you could do this fun sort of colour blocking quite easily and creatively using the colours that they offer. But I am not the most creative, and this is one of my favourite versions, and this one is using a brushed alpaca and silk held double. This jumper, whilst it doesn't look much, it is a black oversized drop shoulder jumper. I wear this every other day, if not in the morning when I get out of bed, or it dresses up really nicely, it dresses down really nicely. It's like the knitted equivalent of a sweatshirt, but at half the weight. So yeah, quite fun to be able to do really simple plain versions, and with the colour palettes that they do have, something quite creative. The cherry, this is mohair held single. This is a gorgeous pattern from Midori Hirose. I will just link in the descriptions and pop the names on screen for you. But this uses a contrast colour for some colour work around the top, which is quite difficult to see. But again, this is a lovely lightweight pattern that I wear often in the summer. I have a black version that I also wear quite a lot, but being able to have a lightweight jumper that doesn't quite feel like a jumper is really nice for the evenings before it gets too warm. And again, this is something that dresses up really quite nicely and is very easy to dress down. I feel like it's, you know, one of those ultimate slobby Sunday into fancy going out vibes tops. So this would be a really good pattern for the mohair too, along with this one, which is another one that has been knitted so many times, both by myself and everyone else. Quite difficult to see on the screen here, but this is the Ranunculus. It doesn't use very much mohair no matter what size you knit. This one would use 2 balls, which is really lovely. Again, this is something that, because I knit this one with the short sleeves, it's even more useful in the summer to layer under a cardigan, but also just as a top. Just a very good layering piece. I could probably wear it over this, I don't know, but yeah, a really gorgeous pattern to knit. This one is a textured yoke jumper, so you knit it seamlessly in the round, then you have the option to do a few more raglan increases and then divide for the sleeves, and it's pretty simple straight down from there. But this would be beautiful in that yarn, and I'm looking at it thinking it would be really fun to have a mohairy lime green version now, but I need to see how much more of this yarn I need for my secret project first. So there is a multitude of very cool patterns that are available, and rather than sit here and talk about every single one, there are a variety of beautiful ones. There's the Frost from Emily Foden that I really love, and that was my original intention for this fibre. There is the Ghost Whisperer, which is a gorgeous, actually doesn't look too dissimilar from this, crop top. I think it's from Park Knits. There's loads. I will create a bundle on Ravelry and also link them below. So if you want to have a little browse of things that I would wish to or would enjoy knitting using the mohair yarn, then I will have them all there. I think otherwise we're just watching me, listening to me talk about projects that I haven't knit yet. So this is Evergreen, which is an organic wool, which is quite nice. I don't have access to organic wool very often. Some because it is not certified, because the farm is so small producing that it couldn't possibly, but it is nice when you've got that assurance and this is certified. And this is from South America, 100% wool, and it is really, really quite something. I don't know, it's very soft, it's very bouncy and springy, and then it is spun in Italy. And you get 230 meters for 50 grams, which is quite a good amount of yardage. It's a lovely fingering weight wool, but if you held it double, you would sort of have a DK weight wool. This one, if I'm honest, I would use for basically anything and everything, gifts in particular. I'm not the most sensitive person when it comes to wool. I can wear Icelandic yarn and mohair next to skin on my face, it doesn't bother me. But I feel like most of my family members would be very happy with this, and they are not usually people to enjoy 100% wool. So this seems like a really good option if you're looking for moving someone into 100% wool territory, if you're gift knitting without, you know, the scratchiness. It is really lovely. I am currently knitting a Best Beret by James N. Watts. It's living in this wonky bag that I made myself. So it doesn't look like much right now because it's on the decreases, but I am using black mohair silk held with this lovely evergreen wool, and it has been a joy. In fact, I've had to joke a couple of times. I've had to put this down, I've had to put it to the side because I've been enjoying it too much, which does happen to me. And I just want to stretch out the process, and it might be that I knit another one for a friend. Now the Best Beret is the Best Beret. It's a pattern by James N. Watts, and I think it calls for a worsted weight, but I previously knit it using a fingering weight and a mohair held together, and I loved the outcome, so I have just done the same. And it is a beret that uses a I-cord cast on and has the option for a single little I-cord tassel or two written into it. And I'm doing the classic version rather than the big silhouette version. I'm a simple gal, but it is a really fun pattern and a great way to use mohair and fingering weight wool. But I tell you, I haven't experienced this wool worn yet, so I can't talk about how it does wear, but it's really nice to knit with, and I think for a lot of more sensitive hands, for 100% wool, this will be a happy place. But I feel like it would be good for one of these. It would give a bit more structure and make this a bit more hard wearing. So if I ever replace this, which to be honest is looking like it's needing it, even though I've de-pilled it recently, I think this and a mohair would be more long lasting for me, so that might be on the cards. These items are things that I would love to, or would recommend, I guess. So there are 35 colours, which is great, and it looks like to me I'm not the most colour savvy and stylish person, but it looks like the palette that they've chosen would mean you're covered in terms of colours you'd want, but they all kind of go together, so that makes it quite easy if you're doing colourwork projects. But I would knit one of these using this yarn as a really comfortable sweatshirt style t-shirt, because this top is brilliant. It's really good. Again, I'm all about layering. I wear a little crop top underneath this or a bralette, and it's lovely in the summer. I've worn long sleeve tops with cardigans over the top in the winter, and it just adds a sense of layers, and with it being oversized, it sort of traps in the air. And using, again, the evergreen held double, you could knit a DK weight pattern like this, and think it would be great. Again, there's a lot of really good neutrals. It's a really good, you know, base palette. I think it's quite a nice selection of colours to build up an almost capsule wardrobe. I'm not a capsule wardrobe person. I've thought about whittling my wardrobe down some more, but transpires I really like to express myself through the way I dress. So I do have a varied selection. I mean, the difference in style between this and this is quite stark. But this is for an event, this is for a wedding. And then I also think the new issue of Pom Pom that's due to be released this summer, which is their 10th anniversary one, has this Reduplicate Set in. Shorts and a matching top, and the shorts have pockets. I knitted this using a sport weight yarn and really loved the outcome. And when I was swatching with this, the gauge that I got would allow me to knit this, and I think this would actually be a lot more practical. This is a lot more toothy, this yarn. I love it personally, I will wear it, but for most people that are more sensitive, this would be a really good base to knit that set in, and I really kind of would love to do that. I'm like, yeah, that would be really fun. A black set of this would be gorgeous, but I feel like that would be a really good base if you can, if you wanted to. And I think it would be sturdy enough. It's bouncy, but it's got quite a bit of strength to it, which I like. A couple of the other bases that I've used that are really bouncy tend, because this is still quite twisted, it's not totally lofty, there is definitely twist in it to keep it a bit stronger. So I think it would be perfect for these. Really, really fun. And then, what other projects? And I don't really want to talk about my own patterns here, but held double for the Unarmoured defense cowl, it would be brilliant. This unfortunately went into the wash and has now felted. It still works, it's a lot closer and I can still fit it on, but I think this again would be a really good option since it's so close to the neck. It would be soft, and held double it would be perfect. So I'm thinking I might whip myself up another one of these, and I know my mum has asked for a black one, and she did explicitly say she wasn't interested in 100% wool, but I think I'm going to give it a go and see if I can get my mum wearing 100% wool. But yeah, I feel like it is a very good option for jumpers, for colourwork jumpers, for texture jumpers. The twist in it seems nice enough to get a great stitch definition. Lace work, it's just a really good all-rounder. And then finally we have one that's too far away. Finally we have this one, and I am smitten with this base actually. I didn't anticipate enjoying it as much as I have. This is the Alpaca silk base. This colour is wonderful too. Perfect cherry red, maybe. I think there's 30 colours of this one. I've also got a few of this gorgeous grey. They're just lovely. So it is 70% alpaca, 30% mulberry silk, so a similar makeup to the brushed mohair but with alpaca, and rather than it being brushed and fluffy, it's spun. And it's 50 grams for 166 meters. I've been using this slightly interchangeably as sport and fingering weight yarn, and also as a lace weight yarn. This one is made in Peru. Again, there's not as much information on where this is from on the website, but it's made in Peru, and the company is based in Denmark, for those that aren't aware. And the alpaca adds a lot of warmth, and the silk adds a lot of durability, and both of them combined are very drapey yarns, so they are probably better for shawls and those sort of projects, but I've been really liking it for summer projects. There's something quite cooling to me about silk, and I've got 2 projects, both of which I've been wearing so much. Here is the Pure Mesh Pullover by James N. Watts. To me, an incredibly practical project. For some, maybe not, but this will be a wonderful layering piece in the winter, under things where you can't even see it, but also add a little bit of punk rock while adding warmth. And then it's also quite good in the summer months where you do want a little bit of layering to be able to put in your bag, but I'll be mean to this, but you can fold this down into like nothing into a bag, and you know, you're adding quite a lot of warmth for not much weight, so you combine this with a mohair, cardigan, jumper. It's kind of all you need in the summer months over here, though it does get cold sometimes. But yeah, I've used it for this. I've successfully met the gauge that I needed to using this yarn. It's a sort of fingering sport weight, whereas the pattern calls for lace weight, but I think as long as you get a fabric that you like, it's worth experimenting, because I'm very happy with this. The mesh is a little bit more vivid than it might be if using the lace weight yarn. But this would also be very good using this. I like the silk content, and I love the drapiness and the fact that it kind of just melts onto the body. But a great pattern for this. And then this one was from Amanita, who is Amanita Knits, and this is the Golden Oak tank top. I love this. The drape on it is beautiful. It kind of just, again, melts over the body. It feels lovely even when at the temperature, like my body's temperature starts to get a bit hot. This hasn't been invasive like some fibres would be on my body. I think the stitch definition is quite lovely on it. It's this has been worn a lot without being washed and reblocked, but it's held its shape quite nicely considering how, you know, how drapey it is. It's lovely. And in the same vein, something like the Lydia from Courtney Little would be lovely in this yarn. The Lydia is, to be said, you can wear it both ways. It has a deep V in the back, but you can wear it that way round. But again, this has some really gorgeous lacework that I think would shine in these fibres. Yeah, it's really, I'm truly surprised and impressed at how well this is holding up. It hasn't pilled or anything. It's got a little haze to it, a little halo, but it has that as soon as you've knitted with it, which is another thing I quite like about it. And this would be lovely held with mohair as well. It would be a very special drapey, luxurious project, but if you can, it would be lovely. This is also a very simple summery tank top that I would knit again using this yarn, and I might do a grey one just because grey goes with everything. And this is the Heya Tank. Again, a great summery pattern. This would benefit from extra drapage, I think, but I love this version. And I think that is all of them. There are so many patterns and projects that I could knit using these yarns. Mittens for gifts, you get quite a lot of yardage using most of these yarns, in particular this, and you'd be able to do a really nice selection of gifts, I think, using this. And I think I might actually have to knit a pair of mittens for one of my friends using this. But there's so many things that you could do with it that I couldn't possibly put it all into one video. I don't think I could keep doing this as full-time as I am. I'm now trying to add in other things. Without projects like this happening, it makes a big difference. It's allowed me to knit, it's allowed me to practice, it's allowed me to, you know, do a bit of learning and exploring in this process. So I'm very grateful to be, you know, given this yarn from Hobbi. I haven't been paid to talk about it, I've just been given it. I do like to be quite clear about these things, but like I said, it means that I've got a bit of scope to be creative. I am someone that does quite like to have a smaller wall pantry, but also having yarn there to play with and to get creative with really does help to keep me going and to inspire me and allow me to do this more as our world is getting more and more strange to navigate, you know? So thank you, Hobbi, I really do appreciate it, and I'm very much looking forward to hopefully editing this video and finishing my beret this evening. This evening. It's very early in the day for me to be recording, but I just felt like today was the day that I wanted to put this out there and to talk and share it. Next week will be a normal podcast episode, and then the week after I hope to release a little chat that I had with Susan of the Journal of Scottish Yarns, which is quite exciting. And then we'll be back to normal. But I do hope this finds you well. I hope that it inspired you in some way. Maybe there was something that made you think differently about a yarn. Maybe not. If not, I hope it was good company. And maybe there's some inspiration in the patterns. I will put bundles together of patterns for each yarn, and hopefully there's something there to make you a bit inspired. With that, I hope that you have a really lovely week. I hope to see you again very, very soon, and don't forget to love each other.
It's like me at 16 meets what's that film? Drop Dead Fred meets my son. I'll do the extra rows.
Your name is Freddy Krueger.
My name's Freddy Krueger. You got me on street clothes. Right.